The problem of dividing by zero is motivated by our definition of rational numbers. Rational numbers, symbolized by Q, are numbers that can be written as fractions of two integers, so an integer a divided by an integer b, where the denominator b does not equal 0. So why can't the denominator be 0? That's the question. Well, I did see a neat trick for remembering which of these numbers can and cannot be 0, and it looks like this. So it's okay to have 0 in the numerator, but no, we cannot have 0 in the denominator. Well, why is that the case? So let's take a look at what happens when we divide 0 by a number versus a number divided by 0. Let's begin with a completely different division fact. Let's start with 10 divided by 2. Alright, so we know that this is 5, and there's always a related multiplication fact that goes along with this to explain. So 10 divided by 2 equals 5 because 10 equals 2 times 5. Or 12 divided by 3 equals 4 because 12 equals 3 times 4. Alright, so if we look at the division 0 divided by 5, and we ask ourselves, what does that equal? I will put in an x here since I don't know. Now the related multiplication fact would be 0 equals 5 times x. And then we can easily figure out what this is. 5 times what equals 0? Well, then we would know that x must be a 0. Right? So that's why 0 divided by 5 is 0. Now let's say we reverse that. And let's consider 5 divided by 0 equals x. So now the related multiplication fact would be 5 equals 0 times x. So now what number can x be? Well, we're really asking 0 times what equals 5. And we do know for real numbers that 0 times anything is going to equal 0, not 5. So there is no solution to this, so therefore 5 divided by 0 is not a real number. We don't know what this is. So that's why we say that this is undefined. And notice that that's quite different than the number 0. Now let's consider one other fact. What about 0 divided by 0? What does that equal? Well, it makes sense that it would be undefined since we just said anything divided by 0 is undefined. But let's see what this looks like if we convert this to a multiplication fact. All right, so we would have here 0 equals 0 times x. All right, so now what can x be? All right, well, 0 equals 0 times 3, 0 equals 0 times 6.2, 0 equals 0 times pi, 0 equals 0 times square root 3. So here the issue isn't that there is no number that satisfies that equation, but the issue is that we have too many numbers that satisfy the equation. There are infinitely many answers or numbers that x could be. So here we still say that 0 divided by 0 is undefined, but this time it's because there are too many answers. So when we say that a number is defined, or maybe an arithmetic problem like a division problem is defined, we mean that there is exactly one number or one answer. And when we say that something is undefined, we either mean that there is no number or no answer, or that there are infinitely many numbers or answers. So I hope that explains why we can divide 0 by a number, but we cannot divide a number by 0 and get a real number.